What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? We are here for the season finale of um Families of the Mafia. And let me tell y'all something. This episode, it took me out. Okay. So we are season 1, episode 6. And again, I'm not really sure why it was such a short season. I don't know. I'm really not clear. But hopefully they'll, because this was shot over a long period of time. At the beginning of the show, they said that this was shot over a 4-year time span. So understand that these things did not happen all at one time. These things happen in spaces. um I feel like most of it sort of happened like recently. But remember, some of it is not. Anyway, so I said I had to say this. So we start off with Demi. Demi is still on the hunt for her dad. She ends up talking to one of her dad's really good friends, and he's like, listen, there's more to this story. I want you to be open when you talk to your dad. I want you to be open to what he wants to tell you. Your dad loves you. And she was like, well, when was the last time you talked to my dad? He was like, today. She was like, oh, really? Today? Um, but he was saying, listen, your dad gave up a lot to be with your mom. He didn't go to college. He didn't do a lot of things to be with your mother. And then, when things didn't work out, it just really got really bad. So I want you to just be open to that. Um, he was like, but of course, Demi's thing was, whatever, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. He was my father. He abandoned us. And my mom gave up a lot to be with him, too. And I think, again, I'm not trying to make too much of this be a racial thing, but I think there's an underlining part to that as far as who gave up stuff and what she went through to be with him. Because I'm pretty sure she caught a lot of flack, in the 1980s, 1990s. Well, how old is Demi? Probably like late, 1980s, being with a black man. I'm certain of it, and so I think on both sides, they probably went through some things on both sides. Um, and so she said, well, can I get his phone number? He was like, absolutely. So she has her dad's phone number now. So, honey, we're going to talk about how that went down, child. Then we have this really great moment between Billy and the twins where he takes them back to his old neighborhood in Brooklyn. Now, of course, that area of Brooklyn now has been gentrified, and they have these beautiful restored brown houses, brownstones. But he explains, like, listen, he was like, back then, back in the 80s, this area was, it was a drug den. It was a lot of crime. It was a lot of, a lot of violence. And I fell into it. And he talked to them about his father, who, their grandfather, they called him Wild Bill. And he was like, look, this is what I grew up with. He was like, my father killed people. I don't know how many people he killed, but I know for a fact he killed his brother. He beat him with a baseball bat. He was like, this is the environment I grew up in. And so I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I'm trying to do better, and I might make some more mistakes, but don't ever question the fact that I love you. Don't ever question the fact that I'm trying to really be there for you, and I want more for you. I want better for you than what I had. I want better for you than what was put forth in front of me. And so it was a great moment, and I think he was being very candid with them and really letting them know. He said, because his nickname is Cast, and they were like, oh, because you put people in cast, and he was like, I plead the fifth. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it. So then we see Ramona and Karen. Things down to the pizza parlor are not good. Somehow or another, Ramona then got into it with the chef. The chef then quit. So now they got a pizza parlor with no chef. Ramona's sitting there acting like she don't understand what the problem is, and she ain't do nothing wrong, and she don't understand what the issue is. And Karen is like, okay, like, I'm gone for one day, and we had this great grand opening, and we don't even have nobody to cook the damn pizza. And she said, look, I really need to, she said, I got all this stuff going on with Karina, and I don't even know if I want to keep doing this. And so, Ramona was like, well, what is it? Spit it out. And it's weird to me, because I'm thinking to myself, y'all must just have money like that, because I know it's not cheap or easy to start a restaurant. And the fact that y'all just put all this money into starting this restaurant, and both of y'all are willing to just kind of walk away. Because Ramona was like, well, what is it? Spit it out. She was like, I'm not going to do this by myself. And Karen was like, I get it, but I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Maybe we just made a mistake. And I'm like, y'all are being real casual about a business. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I know how much it would take out of me, my life savings and every loans and everything else. I wouldn't be so quick to walk away from it. But Karen is saying how she thinks that she needs to go back to Arizona for a while. She really needs to take a break. Um, she really needs to just um, take a breather. You know, after everything went down in the Poconos, she said she just really needs to get Corinne out of the city, and they need to just kind of really reset themselves. And she said she'll make some decisions while she's gone to Arizona. It doesn't sound like she's going to move back permanently, but she's going to go for an extended visit to try to get herself together. So then we see the twins. They meet up with their older brother, and they basically just have a conversation about their father and how they met up with him. He took them back to the old neighborhood, and how they really see that he's trying. And, you know, even though they didn't grow up, it wasn't a perfect relationship growing up, but that he really was trying, and they're there. They don't hold any grudges, okay? So then we get to meet Demi's dad. Demi calls her father, and the dad was like, yeah, and he like was on screen and everything, was like, yeah, I'm Demi. He called her by her whole name. I'm her dad, and, you know, I got some things I need to say to her. Now let me say this, Dad, she called him, and he was really nasty to her. He was angry. He was rude. I don't understand why he showed up with that sort of energy. I understand what he was trying to say to her, but my thing is, you're blaming the child for what the adults did. Because what it sounds like is he was like, well, when was the last time we saw each other? And she was like, I don't know, when I was like 7. He was like, no, you were 12. And she was like, okay, well, I don't remember that. And what was the last thing you said to me? She was like, I don't know, because I told you I don't remember talking to you, so I don't know. You told me that I was dead to you. Okay, daddy, she was 12. I'm sure at 12 years old she wanted to be Wonder Woman when she grew up. Did that mean that you write her off because she wants to be Wonder Woman? Like, what is wrong with you? You are the adult. You were her father. I don't give a fuck what happened or what was said for her to say, you're dead to me. Clearly, there's a bigger story there that needs to be explored. Then he went on to talk about how the mom sued him for child support, had a restraining order against him, and something else. He was like 3 things. Well, here's my thing right here. Oh, divorce, I guess. Filed for divorce, restraining order, child support. Okay. And then he said, well, the mom filled her head with all these things about me that weren't true. I get it. We see it all the time. And I'm not saying Demi's mom did or didn't do this. I'm not saying right or wrong. But we see this all the time. And what it sounds like happened was there was a really, really bad breakup, and they put the kids in the middle. And because the only voice that Demi heard was her mother's voice, then she has her mother's opinion of what happened. But you didn't do yourself any favors by going MIA. And if she did produce you with a restraining order, there had to be some... Sorry. If she hit you with a restraining order, there had to be some basis for it. I'm not saying it's true or not. We know people put in false, complaints all the time. But with the restraining order, you go to court. You plead your case, and then the judge decides whether it's going to be a long-term restraining order or not. So my thing is, you're coming at her with a whole lot of negative energy after you ain't talked to her in 10 years about something that she had no control over. She couldn't control what her mother was doing, whether her mother was right or wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know if the restraining order was legit or if it was bullshit. I don't know if you were paying your child support or not paying your child support. But what I do know is you walked away from your child. And now that your child is reaching out to you, you showed up with that kind of energy. Dude, you're wrong. You are wrong. And I felt so bad for Demi in that moment because you were wrong. You came at her with that bullshit energy. You did. Anyway. Then we have Christopher and his dad in the family. So Christopher's dad is getting out of jail. And of course, Chris wants things to go back to the way they were. He wants to move in with his dad. He wants to be with his dad. And his mom and his aunt and uncle are like, listen, Chris, we don't want you, like, you're doing really good. We don't want to see you fall back into old habits. Like, we don't know if your dad is going to come home and be on the straight and narrow, or if your dad is going to come home and be on that bullshit. And what we don't want you to do is fall into it. We want you to stay with us. We want you to keep doing what you've been doing and do better. Chris's thing was, listen, wherever my dad is where I want to be. I don't give a damn where dad go. And of course the family would, I mean, they were crying and they were pleading and they were upset. But Christopher told them, he said, listen, wherever my buddy, wherever he goes. See, that popped in my head. But that's how he was. He was just like, no, wherever my dad is where I'm going. Now, I'm going to go ahead and end this. When Dad got out of jail, Christopher met him down to the jail. And I'm going to give Dad respect. Because Dad said, listen, I'm on this work release situation. I'm not really in a place right now for us to go back to the way. Because Chris was like, listen, let's go. I'm ready for us to go get an apartment. I'm ready for us to go back to doing the things we was doing, hanging out, partying, whatever. Christopher wants his friend back. It's not even, he don't want his dad. He wants his friend back. Because that's what it sounds like. Oh, we're going to go hang out. We're going to go do this. We're going to go do that. You want your friend back. Anyway, but Dad told him, listen, I want you to stay with your aunt and uncle right now. I'm on this work release program. I'm not really where I need to be. I need you to stay there. And so I respect Dad for that. I give Dad the utmost respect for that. Then the show wiped me out. Billy was found dead in his house. They are not releasing how he died. They said something about, at this time, we don't know how he died. And so when we're keeping it very, within the family, the details of his death. And then we'll release it once we get it together. And so now I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting here watching this man this whole season, and he died. He died last July while they were still filming. And so we see the kids go through, those emotions and go through that whole process of their dad, their dad dying, the mourning of it. Even their mom, she was like, look, I thought I hated him until he was gone. And now I realized, she was like, I miss arguing with him. I miss yelling at him. Like, I miss him. But they knew each other for 30 years. They had 3 kids together. Like, obvious, like that stuff it's not an overnight thing. I can appreciate the fact that I think this show served as a catalyst for him to try and make peace with his family. And I love and respect the fact that they had that moment and they had that time, because I don't know what he was doing or what he was trying to do as far as his kids were concerned prior to filming, but we know it was the relationship, at least with him and his daughter, had been very fractured. So I can definitely respect the fact that, and I can appreciate the fact that he had that time. Now, they're not using the word murder, so I don't think he was killed. I think it was either natural causes or suicide. And I'm sort of leaning towards suicide, and the reason why is because I feel like everything he did was sort of a goodbye to his family. Y'all know what I'm saying? But it may not have been. It may have just been he had a heart attack in his sleep, But they're not really saying it. But, oh my gosh. But I appreciate the fact that he opened himself up and that he did, I feel like, made some sort of peace with the kids. So, Denny's mom was saying how she feels really bad that Demi didn't have that moment with her father, that things didn't work out. She told, Demi talked to her mom about how the conversation went, and, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't. And I was so disappointed in him. I was waiting for him to be very much, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you reached out to me. Let's go meet up. Because even if you wanted to have that conversation with her, have it face to face and say, listen, it's not as simple as you think. And I didn't just abandon you. These things were going on. I couldn't afford a lawyer. I did this. I did that. I was young at the time. I didn't know how to fight back. I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, give me something. But coming at me like I did something to you. I'm the child in this relationship. I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm back. I done went down that road again. Corinne and Karen are going to Arizona. Sorry, you guys. So So they're headed to Arizona, and they had this whole conversation about needing to reset, needing to redo this and redo that, and blah, 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 blah. Honey, they get to Arizona, and Karen get to talking to her father about the situation with Corinne and Paulie. Baby, did y'all see the look on his face? He was not feeling it at all. He was not feeling that whole situation with Corinne and Paulie. Like, oh, he did what? He said what? He did who? And Corinne started getting upset. She was like, I don't want people to think that I'm just being abused and I'm just being beat on, because that's not the case. He's not beating me. But her grandfather explained, he said, but there's mental abuse. Like the fact that, like, this whole situation is a mentally abusive situation. Whether he physically put his hands on you or not, I got a problem with how he's treating you. And you should too. And I think Corinne got really upset because I think she felt like she was really, I guess, subconscious of them thinking that she was in this abusive relationship. But you are, baby. You are. I think sometimes people don't realize that abuse is not just him slapping the shit out of you. Abuse is him stopping you from walking out the door. Abuse physically stopping you from walking out the door. Abuse is every time you want to go out with your friends, him calling you out, cussing you out, and calling you a slut, and that you want to go out here. Like, that is abuse. That is manipulation, and it is abusive. There's that mental, the stuff that he says to you, there's no way in the world that the way he talks to you is okay. The names that he calls you, that's not okay. It's not okay for that boy to call you out your name the way he does just because he's mad at you. And the reason why he gets mad at you is bullshit. Because you want to go out with your friends. Now all of a sudden you're a slut, you a hoe. Really? Corinne, that is abusive, baby. And I know that they filmed this a while ago, so I don't follow you on social media or none of that, but I really hope you're done with him. I get it that y'all known each other a long time, and that's probably your first real love, and I get how hard it is to walk away from that. But at the end of the day, baby, it is abusive. So anyway, that was pretty much it, y'all. I would love to see an update to everybody's story, but that's pretty much how it ended. You know what I mean? They were I don't know how long they stayed in Arizona, honey, but I don't know. And I don't know if Karen kept I guess I should look it up on Yelp or something, child. See if the pizzeria is still open, honey. Probably not, child. I feel like it ain't open no more. But that was it. And that's it. That's the season. So let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.